Did you just hear that, Max? It's Terry Bradshaw. That was some serious slander.
Meanwhile, Stephen A. sweating like Michael Irvin on set.
Almost. Yeah, that's what I said. He's just like a Cowboys fan.
The Knicks have
he knows it's blasphemy, so he's sweating a little.
The last time I saw him this happy, his sister Carmen showed up in the studio by surprise with lasagna. Last time it was like 5 years ago.
No, that wasn't as happy as I am right now. Okay. I'm so proud.
Hey, can we talk about something else?
Go ahead.
National show again. Let me remind you. I know we're not SNY.
New York is national.
I forgot to let you know.
Hold on.
Okay, Max. Does Bradshaw have a point about Rodgers? He basically just said he showed how weak he is.
No, he doesn't. And Terry Bradshaw's become an underrated historical figure in football. He was a great quarterback, and you look at the numbers, and you go, well, because they didn't pass it a lot. But he had a rocket for an arm. He won 4 Super Bowls. Everyone can shut up.
He has a reality TV show now, too, in case you didn't know.
I get it. I'm just saying, like, as a football player, the numbers will lie on Terry Bradshaw because the game has changed so much. He's a great player, one of the all-time greats, 4-time Super Bowl champion. Can't say anything about him. He's wrong about Aaron Rodgers. The game has changed so much. Just like I won't judge Terry Bradshaw on his passing numbers compared to modern quarterbacks. You get the 15th best quarterback in the league this year. His numbers are going to blow Terry Bradshaw's out of the water. I'm not going to compare that dude to Terry Bradshaw. The game has changed. But Terry, the game has changed. Champ, the game's changed, right? In his day, quarterbacks did not have the power they have today because they have much more responsibility today. And in terms of the body of work over his career, I'm not about the greatest. That's Tom Brady, the most accomplished. I'm not talking about the hype because I think Patrick Mahomes at his very best is the best I've ever seen by a little over Aaron Rodgers. But you take the heights that Aaron Rodgers has hit and the length of time he's sustained it, you could easily argue he's been the best who ever did it over the course of his career, and he's treated this way by his franchise. He has every right in today's day and age to be like, timeout. You guys have never drafted me receiver in the first round. You, a lot of these years, if you look at the rest of the roster, they would not have been among the favorites preseason. The only reason they were is because they had Aaron Rodgers. I just came off an MVP year, maybe the best year of my career, one of the 4 or 5 greatest regular seasons that ever was at the age of 37 when Brady's still great at 43. And Rodgers has more skills he can lose and still be great at a later age. If he loses mobility, he can still kill you out of the pocket. He has an accurate, strong arm. He reads defenses quickly. So he might age, well, who knows? He might play into his early, mid-40s. They're not paying him what he should be paid, right? Contract extension, have they offered him 4 or 5 years, $160 million guaranteed? No. They don't consult with him. Stephen A. has said, Aaron Rodgers goes in to try to talk to them. They're like, we don't need your opinion. In Terry Bradshaw's day, you had to know your place. But the place for the best quarterbacks in the league, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Rodgers goes to Tampa. They listen to him. They win the Super Bowl year one, giving him what they want. Mahomes doesn't get protected in the Super Bowl. Okay, Patrick, watch this. We will acquire the 2 best available offensive linemen before the draft. Pay them whatever, trade whatever to get them. We have to protect you. Aaron Rodgers, what are you guys going to do for me? Well, last year we traded up to in the first round to grab a quarterback, your replacement. This year we're going to draft another defensive player. And if you offer your opinion, we're going to say to hell with you.
Right.
No, that's not weakness to not be happy in that situation. He spent his whole career there. Terry Bradshaw's wrong.
Terry Bradshaw is wrong depending on what you're talking about. If you're talking about what you just brought up, you have a point. I don't believe that's what Terry Bradshaw was alluding to. When you talk about Aaron Rodgers worrying about who they drafted, he has a point about that. I'm sorry, no, he does not. I apologize. He does not. That's Aaron, there's a different day. But here's where he does have a point. Aaron Rodgers has been passive aggressive. You got other people talking for Aaron Rodgers in terms of what he feels, what he's told the organization. He hasn't come out and stated what his position is to anyone. And that part is weak. The fact of the matter is, because he's Aaron Rodgers, because he's accomplished what he's accomplished, because he's got a 126-63-1 record as a starting quarterback, he's a Super Bowl champion, he's a multiple-time league MVP, he's one of, if not the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the history of the game, at least until Patrick Mahomes came along, even though his resume doesn't compare to Tom Brady. We know who Aaron Rodgers is and the level of cachet that he should have. I'm here to tell you he has been mistreated. He has been disrespected. He has been minimized. to a degree that he doesn't like, he doesn't appreciate it, etc. But it is weak at this point in time in his career for him not to flat out come
Wait,
out
hold on.
and say
That's not what
Wait,
Terry
wait,
said.
wait,
That's
wait.
what Bradshaw said, though.
Wait, but this is what I have the question. But we've heard that LaFleur flew out. We heard that Gutekunst flew out, and they all flew out and met with Aaron Rodgers.
Now.
How can we say that? Yeah, so now he's voiced it.
No, but what I'm saying is...
You're just saying prior he should have spoke up?
All of this time... Well, so first of all, we've heard the reports from Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's too much noise, whether it's Pat McAfee, who does a great job with his show, by the way. It's Adam Schefter, it's anybody else. Aaron Rodgers is perfectly entitled to come out and say, yo, I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here anymore. I want to change. Yeah. Instead of people speculating about what he wants or it being leaked out from the organization. You know, especially since the report came out that he wants Gutekunst fired. Especially since...
Are you saying he needs to make public pronouncements for the consumption of the fans?
Well, not just the consumption of the fans, because Gutekunst's job is on the line, supposedly. If reports are out there that you want somebody fired, okay, you want them gone. Wait a minute. That can't be leaked information.
You want to hear that from Aaron Rodgers' lips.
That needs to come out of his mouth. Because now that gets deeper. Because now you're trying to cost somebody else their job, as opposed to you simply saying, I want out. Okay, that's where it gets a bit deeper. And when you have the level of cachet, when you don't do something like that, it's because you don't have the cachet. It's usually because you don't have the cachet. You don't want something to happen to you, not because you're worried about bad PR. He should be beyond that. Say what you feel and why and move on.
But I think
especially when somebody's
in terms of a business strategy, though, I don't know if that would be the smartest for him.
Well, I don't think it would affect him at all. How's it going to affect him business-wise?
I mean, if he's coming out and he ends up staying with the team and saying that I want him fired.
But he said, no, I'm not talking about. I'm saying because the reports came out that saying he wants the guy fired.
Yeah.
Now we need to hear from you because they're saying you want the guy fired. See, Magic Johnson had to answer those questions when it came to Paul Westhead many years ago. You know, various other athletes as well. When you are attached to somebody's potential dismissal, you don't get to hide.
That's a fair point, but that's not Bradshaw's point. Bradshaw is to me is caught up in the typical old timer. The times have changed. I'm envious of the power the players have now,
I'm saying I agree
and I don't
with
like
you about that.
Right.
I'm saying I agree with you about that part.
That's what he's saying. He's like, who cares who they draft? Well, that makes a difference nowadays because when they move up in the first round to draft a quarterback,
instead of giving you what you need,
when you're knocking on the door, you make to the NFC Championship game. They move up to draft your replacement, and you've seen how it went for the last guy before you got there. You fell to them, but still they drafted you, and a couple years later, the next guy's gone. Now they're talking about an extension. Again, what's the number of years in the extension if they just drafted a dude in the first round? Yeah. What do they think? It's going to be 2 more years, 3 more years? Rodgers is like, guys, I just threw 48 touchdowns against 5 picks. We had a chance to win the NFC Championship.
He was the MVP.
I'm the MVP. You took the ball out of my hand and gave it to Tom Brady. That's not my fault. The thing I will say that doesn't look great for Rodgers is Devontae Adams is a stud. It's not like Tom Brady in New England where he has nothing. He has some offensive weapons, and he spent 2 consecutive years in the championship game. And unlike